In today's video, I'm going to show you how to turn ThinkOrSwim into your personal database and your personal backtester that you can use to test your crazy ideas. The idea I want to test in today's video is simple. I want to know if there's any hidden trading strategy in plain sight which involves buying on a certain day of week and selling on a certain day of week in that same week. For example, buying on a Monday and selling on a Thursday. Is there a strategy there that makes sense? Maybe something that if you just do this systematically over the course of, 5-10 years, you actually end up beating the market compared to having just bought and held. That means we also need to have some sort of a baseline here that we can use to compare to see if this trading strategy has any kind of edge at all, right? So we need a baseline for this idea. We also need some way to determine what day of week it is if we're trying to test this overall trading strategy. So we'll need a function which allows us to translate candles into days of weeks. And we'll need to have a value which tells us then if the P&L is beating it, if the strategy is good or bad. Now, to build something like this, what I can think of from my head for our requirements are the following. We would want the user to be able to select an entry day of week. I said Monday here as an example, but I'm sure you'd want to be able to change that to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it is for your particular crazy idea. Now with the entry day of week, you'd also want to be able to change, I'm guessing, the price type. So user should be able to change the price type. So either the open or the close is what I can think that you'd want to use. I'm not really too sure how you could nail the high or the low ever. And these same two requirements we would probably want for the exit sides condition as well. So user to be able to select an exit day of week. And then same thing, user should be able to change the exit price type, whether that's the open or the close price. So say you wanted to test buying at the open on a Monday and then selling at the close on a Thursday versus selling at the open on a Thursday. You should be able to test all of these different permutations. Now, with all of that, we can start with what I think is the logical first step, which is creating our input variables, things we want the user to be able to control directly from the study settings menu. We don't want to have them go into the code to change these things. Now, the first input field that I think we can have is our entry day. So that's going to be input entry day. And here I want the user to be able to select from a dropdown. So I'll say open bracket, default, and we'll list out the days of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we'll close these brackets out. I'll repeat the same thing for our exit day. It's going to be the same exact list. So I can just paste that in one more time. Now we also need to have price type. So entry price type. And this is going to be, let's say, open, and then input exit price type. And this, let's say, is close as the default value. Now if I click OK, actually, we need to appease the code. So I'll just create a plot signal equals 1 so the code compiles. Now if I double click, you'll see that we have some settings that we just created. So you can select from a dropdown for the entry day, the exit day, and same thing for your entry price and your exit price. Now let's come back to the code by clicking the scroll icon. I'll delete this plot signal that we just added for the code to compile. And we can now move on to doing something with our input variables. Now we need to translate these text letters or these characters because the code doesn't know what Monday is. And the ThinkOrSwim function, getDayOfWeek, if I come into it, getDayOfWeek takes in one parameter, which is the date, and it returns that day of week in a value, a number 1 to a number 7. So we don't get this text value returned, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no. We get a number returned. Monday is equal to 1, Tuesday is equal to 2, so on and so forth. So we need to translate whatever the user selects here into a number so that we can then map it and measure it against this number right here. So let's do that. I will say def entry day of week. And this is going to be the variable which contains what number we are for based off of what the user selected. And we need to use a switch function here to translate these values. So I'll say switch, open bracket, entry day, open bracket, close bracket. And sorry, these were the parentheses, not brackets. And inside we need to have the different cases. So I'll say case Monday, case Tuesday, case Wednesday, case Thursday, and case Friday. Now, for each of the cases, which are the different options that we have inside of our drop-down field list, we need to take this variable and we need to assign a value. So Monday, for example, is going to be equal to 1 for our entry day of week. That's how we've translated this text now into an integer. Tuesday we'll say is equal to 2. Wednesday is equal to 3. Thursday is equal to 4. And Friday is equal to 5. Now we need to repeat the same process for our exit day of week as well. We need to translate that into a number as well. So we can change our entry day of week here to be exit day of week. And we can paste in that variable everywhere. We just have entry day of week written here. And now this code should just compile. Now let's test if this day of week is working the way we would expect. So I'll just use a simple add label code here. We'll say yes, always plot this label. And let's plot out whatever this entry day of week value is. And we'll make this label yellow. And now if I click apply, we should see 1 here. And if I change Monday to Tuesday, we should see 2. If I change Tuesday to Wednesday, we should see 3. And let's try this for our exit day as well. Exit day of week, just to make sure that variable is working. So now if I was to click apply, our exit day, Tuesday. Nope, our exit day doesn't seem to be working so far. So let's see. Oh, this switch should be exit day. Now let's see if it works. Tuesday, Wednesday. All right, perfect. So that little label trick allowed us to catch that one error before we got too far deep into our code. I can remove this now that we know that our functions are correct here. And now what we can do is we can create the piece of code that is going to check if our day of week is equal to whatever the user has selected. So now that I've added in basically all of these requirements, I'll delete this. We still can leave these notes for the time being, but what I can do now is start to create our first add order condition. And we'll say order type dot by to open. And here we'll say first parameter here is what type of order. So that's buy to open. The next one will be sell to close. The second parameter here is when do you want to buy? What is the Boolean condition? And for us, that Boolean condition is going to be equal to get day of week. And this is going to take the get YYY function as an input. And we want to check if this day of week is equal to whatever the user has selected for their entry day of week. If those two values are the same, then we're going to use whatever the entry price type is as the price to use for the entry, and our quantity is going to be 1. Now, before I add in a sell to close, if I was to just click apply, okay, and we come into the chart here, and I have 10 years worth of data loaded, we get a baseline value. If I come all the way back, you'll see that ThinkOrSwim has purchased at the first whatever entry day that I have, which right now is Wednesday. Let's come into a Monday here. So now we have the first entry type, which was a purchase on a Monday back in 2014. This is, if I open up the strategy report, you can even see when that purchase is. And we get an entry date. That P&L, if you simply just held without any other transactions, 339.44. So to me, that's the baseline that we need to beat with any kind of strategy here, any kind of intricate transactions of buying and selling intra-week, Monday through Wednesday, Monday through Thursday, whatever it is. So let's say baseline is equal to 339.44. Now that I have that, I can add in our sell condition. So I'll say order type sell to close. And here we're going to do something similar where we'll check if our get day of week is equal to our exit day of week this time. Our price type will be exit price type in the same quantity of 1. So now if I was to click apply, we're buying on a Monday, we're selling on a Thursday, and that P&L has now varied to 338.68. If you remember, our baseline was 339.44. So all of these additional transactions, which if you zoom in, you'll see that we're buying on a set day. So in this case, we're buying on the Monday, we're selling on the Thursday, open on Monday, close on Thursday. That with all of these transactions, which if I right click and we open the report, more than, let's see, 455 orders, we're still not able to beat that simple buy and hold. Let's see what happens if we change this from a Thursday to a Friday. Does that improve our chances? Well, now that P&L has jumped, not by a sizable amount, definitely not one that I think would justify the amount of time to place all these orders, but you do see that that simple strategy did outperform simply buying and selling if you followed it consistently. What happens if you change this from Monday open to, say, Monday close? Now that P&L drops quite a bit, 260.909. So that doesn't seem to be like a good idea either. Buying and just simply having held would have been a much better trading strategy. You see how we built a very simple backtester here, which allows us to now very quickly test a few different permutations. Let's say if you were curious if Taco Tuesday is good for something more than just tacos. Maybe you want to buy on a Tuesday's open, sell on a Thursday's close, and see if that is a good trading strategy. Absolutely not according to the backtester. That doesn't seem to result in anything useful. What happens if you get out at the open? Not so much. What happens if you wait till a Friday? A little bit better, but still not better than simply, say, having bought on a Monday. Now, we tested the Friday close. What happens if you did Friday open? You're getting pretty close to the baseline, so it's Friday close that seems to have been a little bit better. This is essentially the same as having bought and held over the entire time period. Let's see what happens if maybe instead of Tuesday, you came into midweek. Nope, even Wednesday, not so much. What about Thursday? Not so much. So what we're finding that is essentially that buy and hold strategy is the one that tends to perform much better than any of these purely based off of day of week type strategies. The only one that we saw that worked well was essentially the one which embodies the buy and hold throughout the week. And I'm sure there's just a few random days in there, holidays, things of that sort, that's throwing that P&L off just a little bit. You can, of course, add in some more intricacies into this backtester if you'd like. This was just a starting point, but a way to give you an idea of how you could start with this simple question, which in our case was, is there an edge with trying to outsmart the market, maybe choosing a set day of week and buying on that day, selling by the end of that week? And so far what we found is the answer is no. One last thing that I thought we could test, what happens if we hold over the weekend? Maybe you buy on, say, a Wednesday and you sell on the following, let's say, Tuesday. Let's see what happens then. Even then, we don't seem to get close to that 339 price that we saw for that first P&L. I hope you found this video useful in learning how to turn ThinkOrSwim into your personal backtester. Very simple to write, in this case, less than 40 lines of code. A lot of it was for the switch variable, and use that to allow ThinkOrSwim to give you data and answer questions that you might have and actually start to get some answers to them. Hope you found this video helpful for those of you that are looking for some coding exercises. Take care, everyone. Check out our website for some more tutorials just like this one, tosindicators.com. I'll see you in our next update.